That's everyday life. That's everything in life. That's not even just a football play. You feel pressure in life when you got bills due and you don't know how you're gonna have the money done.
Come
get it?
on.
Preach, dude.
You feel it a whole bunch of different ways. But when you're applying pressure and you're doing exactly what you love in life and it don't even feel like a job and you're actually enjoying every single thing that's around you and life is good, that's a good feeling to be in. Like, that's what life's about. But the one thing I had to learn, every day is not gonna be a perfect day. And, the faster I got into the mindset of just knowing that and that when I am in bad days, better days are coming, all I got to do is just continue to work. I'm not stressing over it anymore. Like, I know everything's not going to go my way, but I also know how to get out of these things now. That, as a rookie, I didn't have all of the knowledge I do now. This stuff does stuff to you. Yeah. NFL average career is only 3 years, 2 to 3 seasons. I'm going into my third year now. Like, this could be my last. I don't want it to be, but you never know. So I'm not just taking a paycheck out of it and just going home. Like, that's not what this is about. You know?
Yeah.
It's so much more for that Steelers logo than people really think it does mean for us.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Athletic Aesthetic Podcast. We're here with my homie Trey. What up, dude? How are you today?
Good, baby. I'm good. And not a bad day, man. Got a great podcast. Looking forward to it, man. It's going to be fun.
Episode 23.
23.
We are at 23, Jordan number. This is a very pivotal moment for us as a podcast right here.
We're making moves,
I don't know why, but 23 just sounds like...
That's it.
It's a lot. It's a lot of episodes, dude.
Man, we put
I did
some work
12 in 1 year. We almost doubled it already in year 2.
Oh, my God.
We're getting there, dude. But, dude, our guest is Pressley Harvin from the Steelers.
Yes,
punter
sir.
for the Steelers, number 6. You may have seen him and Georgia Tech, so you played against him in college.
Yes, I did.
I think, dude, the conversation was insane. I've been following him for a little while. I know like some of his story, but like I've never met him personally until this moment. But dude, what was your...
Bro, dude's down to earth. Very cool kid, man. Has a lot of wisdom behind him, bro. But he also gives us a lot of nuggets, bro. Like a lot of nuggets. So if you're watching, bro, you're an athlete. You need to watch this episode.
Facts. Steeler Nation, this is a good one for you guys. You're gonna love this. We share some moments from things he's learned from Coach Tomlin. Talk about his off the field activities. He's into golf. We had to get him out of here. He had a tee time. He said he had to go make. But dude, we actually we had a great time. So we shout out to him. Thanks for coming through, man. Without further ado, I think we should just jump to before we get to that,
sponsors and everything.
Well, first of all, like, share, subscribe. Right now, we need you to do that because we want to keep growing this thing, dude. And we're 100%. Having a great time. The more that you guys help us, the more we can do with this show. But we're catching some serious momentum now. So please be a part of that by liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media at Athletic Aesthetic Pod.
And also, shout out to our sponsors, the Pavement Group. We love you always, as we always do. And if you're another person out there or another company out there that wants to sponsor these two crazy dudes, man, hit us up. Come check us out.
Yeah, we want some local companies, man. Let's
something.
Let's do it, dude. Like I got enough people in this city that I could probably get like some coffee shops or something. I just want some free coffee maybe out of it.
Free coffee. It ain't got to be much. Like, we're simple people.
Yeah. Now let's talk. Let's figure it out.
Let's just get started.
All right, let's get to the episode. Yeah, dude. Thanks for jumping on the show, man. Thanks for coming on up.
No problem, man.
Appreciate you
down here.
Yeah,
for sure.
How you been?
Been good, man. Everything's been well. Just off-season grinds, just extremely slow. So just taking it every day at a time. But just been having fun. Guys back in the locker room now, and we're about to start OTAs next week. So got the rookies back in this week. Just setting the foundation for this season coming up. So it's been fun so far.
Oh, dude. You said you're going golfing today?
Yeah, I'm going to try to. I've been working on my craft on that side a little bit.
Yeah. It's very similar, right? You got to just get the right kind of...
It is. Like, all of the terminology is pretty similar, because it's basically just one, pendulum at some point. It's a swing. So, a kicking motion and then a golf swing, completely different because you're using your arms and then your legs for a different one. But at the same time, it's extremely, extremely similar because of, the terminology is, if we hit the ball, and hit right on the A spot ball, and hit them right on that perfect spot, you have a great ball. And in the sense of golf, you do that, you get a straight flush ball. It's basically the same terminology, but one thing that I notice is just there's something to get away from the game that I'm not good at, and I'd rather just do that and put time in it over time, and just use that to have a getaway space and be away from the game a little bit.
Try and get this guy into golf.
Man, I've been trying. My swing is a little nasty right now, but it's going to get there, bro.
Man, it takes time, honestly. Like, the longer I went back and just thought about how much time I've wasted from not playing, up to the point now, I'm like, I could have been 20 times better if I was up a little bit earlier.
Who's the best golfer in your group?
But we got studs, honestly. Christian Kuntz, I got to say Christian first because he's the most that I've seen that's pretty good, you know what I'm saying? He usually shoots mid-80s to 90s or so.
Okay.
Boswell is also surprisingly extremely good too.
Surprisingly?
Yeah, like all of the specialist groups at this point in the league, man, we all play golf. So, it's coming down to the point of who's just the best specialist unit in the league.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking? We all have something in common. We primarily played special teams in college.
Listen, that was my goal, bro. Listen, special teams was the only way I was getting in.
Sometimes that's what it is.
You feel me?
The NFL is the exact same way. Guys make these teams and make these rosters from special teams play. Like that.
That's how it
bread
goes.
and butter. That's how you get in the league. That's how you start out in college. Like, that's how you make the name for yourself. So
100%.
He was showing me one of his like best plays was he like down to this punt, and I was like, dude, that feels so good. Like that, I can't imagine what it feels like as a punter, but when you're the gunner that downs it feels great.
Scoring a touchdown and stuff is one thing, but like being on a play like that where it's one that's like people just take special teams for granted.
Yeah.
Like, it actually can change a game. It could hurt you. It can make it way better.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I don't know if you guys know, but like the statistic now for the league, like you get a block punt in the game, you most likely win the game.
100%. Yeah.
Like, it comes down to certain possessions with certain teams and stuff like that. You get one block punt or you get one punt that has a really good return on it. That game changes just like that. So, special teams is one, like, you got one shot at that point. You get out there on the field, you got one shot to do it. We don't have a whole series. So you just got to make that one count.
So you're special teams coach. Good dude. Old head, old Italian, straight from the hood. Straight Yinzer. Listen, old white dude, you would never think, bro, but he's from the hood. Yes. I promise you.
Yes.
So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, how does a black kid become a punter? Like, where did this start for you? Like, what made you want to do this?
Man, I just started out 7th grade year. It was the first year for middle school football down south in South Carolina. So that was like the first year that I got to play a different position than just offensive line. Because growing up, you over 150 pounds, you on the line.
100%.
Playing Pee Wee football. So, I was always cut short. And, I started playing tight end and center my 7th grade year. But we noticed we didn't have a punter on the team. So, we had like an open tryout one day in practice. And I kicked it one time, and I was like, that actually felt kind of cool. Like, it was different because it's like everybody couldn't do it. So, from that point on, I just started out, I think I was like 13 years old when I first started punting.
Oh, wow.
Where are you from?
I'm from South Carolina.
Okay.
So, my hometown my original hometown is called Alkaloo, South Carolina. The population is like 410 people. You can literally look it up on Google. It's the smallest little place in South Carolina you can think of. Like, you can drive through it in 10 minutes. No stoplights.
So what was the demographic like?
So I went to a place that I went to high school in the school district that I was in growing up. When I was in middle school, I switched over because my dad was also working in the school district at the time. So me and my younger brother, we went on and just switched schools to the district that he was working at. So from there, we did it that way too, because the one we were zoned in was a smaller country type of high school, and the one that I wanted to go to was better in football. They were bigger classification, so it kind of just made the right decision of just doing that. And that was a 30-minute commute to school every day, but it got to the point where I had more opportunities on the table.
Respectfully.
So who was like influential for you to like kind of decide? Like, cause I'm assuming you played other positions too.
Yeah.
So like, who was like, dude, you should really focus on this. You have a future in this.
So that decision actually happened my freshman year of high school. I got moved up to varsity as I think second or third string punter, like right off rip when the summer started. But I knew I wasn't going to start, and I knew I had to make a decision too because I was trying to play tight end at the same time and like a little bit of fullback. I had to just make a decision, like, what do I see myself having the best shot of going to school for free with? So I got to the point where, I sat my family down, sat my parents down. We had a conversation about it. And I was just like, I think I want to do punting. I think that's what I want to do. And that was honestly one of the hardest decisions I had to make because I'm a bigger guy. And I had coaches that were telling me like, you wouldn't really devote to anything because you're not doing what you should be doing.
It's funny the way you said that. Like I had to sit my family down and told them I'm gonna be a punter.
Yeah, because it was something that was unorthodox because no one in my family has ever been a specialist. And my mom's side is actually the athletic side. My dad's side is the musician side. So, all of my cousins, they're all like 6'3" plus, 250, 300 pound guys. Like they're really, really big dudes. So, with me, and I was like, I don't want to cut myself short. I don't know where this is going to end, but I feel like I got a better shot because I know I wasn't going to be but so tall coming out of college. And coming out of high school too. So made that decision, started getting actual coaching for it my freshman year. I got invited to this camp that Cole's Kicking has. It's like their national camp that they place kickers and punters and snappers in for like orders for classification and stuff. Yeah. Got an invite to that camp, but I was in the group 3, which was one that was, you come for the experience, get to learn a little bit, be around older guys to, try to learn the competition side of punting and stuff. And I took that kind of like a slap in the face because I'm like, I don't want to go all of that way from South Carolina to Wisconsin for this camp just to, watch somebody else just go out and get stardom. Like, why couldn't it be me? So started getting coaching and stuff a little bit here and there, went to a camp, just started grinding an extreme amount. Coming into my sophomore year, I wound up going to that camp and I wound up winning the entire thing. I was unranked. That was the first major camp I've gone to, and that's the camp that they place guys for the Under Armour All-American game. And I wound up beating the spot out for a senior, but couldn't go because I'm ineligible because I'm not a senior. But from that moment on, I've kind of been more in the spotlight and made a name for myself over the time periods of, high school going into college. Yeah. Had a pretty successful career in college and made myself into the punter I am today and still shaping myself even more and more. But, it all just started out from that one decision that one day I'm just like, I think I could go to the NFL for this one more than, trying to be a fullback or a tight end. Like I'm still 5'11" and 3/4, I'm gonna be honest. Like,
I think you made the right choice though, dude.
Yeah, 100%. Like it was one that was, it just started just because no one else could do it. And, the next thing I know, I'm, fulfilling my childhood dreams of being on an NFL team and, being in a city like Pittsburgh that is extremely, extremely traditional and, just family, faith, and football. Like it reminds me of home. Everything that has got me to this point, I wouldn't have wanted it to do different. Yeah. I'm supposed to be here for a reason. So
I love that perspective.
That's a blessing, man. And definitely congratulations for you to be able to live out your childhood dream, man, for real. Sure. Because we all shoot for those stars, you know what I'm saying? And you had to take a route that most kids would not take. Let's just be honest. You know what I mean? But going back to it now, my next question is a little bit funnier because we have this saying on special teams, if the returner gets to the punter, you better not get tackled. Now, in your concept, you telling me that you used to play fullback, tight end, so that means you're somewhat aggressive, right? So how do you feel about that concept? If the returner makes it to you, is it painful?
It pisses me off because he got past the other 9 guys in front that, supposed to have my back. But, sometimes that stuff happens, and I've been in situations like that, and we honestly don't practice that enough to really, know what you're going to do in that moment. But the fundamentals is just getting away if you can't tackle them and just hold them down. Or just getting away until somebody else can get them.
I think you guys should set up kicker and punter Oklahoma drills for camp.
I don't know, man. There's only a select few of us. That's probably why we don't do it. There's only 3 or 4 of us.
Y'all got a little union within the football team between the kickers too. I roomed with the kicker in college.
You don't see the kickers and specialists, bro. They in their own lane.
Yeah. Somewhere else. I tried to do everything I could to be part of their little group. I was like, I'll just be a holder because they'd get out of conditioning, they'd get out of all this shit because they're like, we're just over here working on our.
There's pros and cons with it, but depending on the program that you're in, you can be doing all of that stuff just like I did at Tech.
I went D2, bro. So my buddy who was a kicker, he said the entire practice he was trying to drill our defensive coordinator. He was trying to hit. He was trying to kick off across the field. and hit him. That was his goal. Was if he like got close to hitting him.
Yeah.
That was like a practice for him. And then he'd just
target
dip out.
practice.
He'd go to the ice bath like before
Chilling.
sprints and everything.
It's target practice for real. Like,
But that's D2.
Yeah. But I mean, man, the specialist group is always a tight group. And every one I've been in throughout my career has always been tight, you know, because we're honestly all we got. We go onto a field, it's usually just me, the long snapper, and the kicker. And, you know, the more chemistry you have between those guys, the better it is for you. And, you know, the next thing you know, you get in a really, really hard games, really hard situations, and it gets easy, you know. It
100%.
gets easy to trust each other. It gets easy to, you know someone's miss where the ball would be at. That's not like the perfect snap,
Right.
you know, where I would be at with putting the laces down. And like the chemistry of that whole thing is just something special that, you know, I feel like ours is way more mental than a lot of other groups because there's so
Definitely.
much fundamentals and there's so much like just basic stuff in a defense and an offense that you just know.
Right.
But for specialists, it's just so different because, I mean, the game is right in your hand at every moment. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we take pride in that too. And we do take mental reps more than we do physical reps. And, you know, sometimes guys might see that as we're not doing as much work. But, I mean, when you got 65, 75,000 people in the stands screaming at you, and you have to be able to hear all of that out to make sure you have the right technique, you know, we can't get amplified by that.
Right.
You have to kind of hear that out and be into a mental zone that's just a little bit different than everybody else on the field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what other way to do that than being with your brothers? That's how we looked at it. And,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like that's how every NFL specialist group is too. Like, I don't know a group that isn't that close.
Right.
And, you know, all of us hang out in the off season every now and then when we get together for competitive stuff. Like we go to Tennessee every year, and we'll do like a small camp and stuff with the organization that I kick with, guys from all over the league. You got college guys come back, and then you got the high school guys that come in at the last part of the week. So it's like that same thing I talked about when we being in the high school part. You know, I was in that camp. I did the college one. Now I'm on the NFL side, looking back at it and trying to bridge the gap for other kids. And it's, you know, it's eye-opening to see just, you know, just 6, 7, 8 years ago, I was literally in their shoes.
Right.
And I'm where I am today just keep working. And, you know, that's what we try to tell these kids and stuff too, because the sky's the limit, man. Like, I didn't realize where I would be today if you would have told me that when I first had to make that decision of going to college for it.
Right.
Or just even playing the position by itself. So, you know, specialists, we're just a little bit different than everybody else. But
Definitely
at the
a different
same time,
breed.
Like, you just got to be ready for it.
Yeah. No, I got so much respect for it, dude.
100%.
Because, like, you know, it's something that, you know, like you can go out and you can miss a tackle in the middle of a play and, you know, it might get noticed, but the next play you could bounce back immediately.
Right.
Where kicking, you know, you
only
miss,
got so many.
You
You
miss
got
it by
one
this
shot.
much.
Yeah.
You got to sit on the sideline until you get that next opportunity, and you're just replaying that. And so that's why you said like that mental rep is the most, you know, important thing, and that's not hard when your game is a physical game. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
To be in touch with that mental. So you actually are. It's kind of cool that, you know, we're talking about that in the sport, but outside of the sport, the balance of physical and mental, you've had to balance that with your parents. So you said you had a side of the family that was very, you know, athletic and a side that was very artistic. So like what do you do outside of, you know, when you leave there? I know you said you play golf, things like that. Do you have like a creative outlet that you also tap into as well?
Yeah, man, I've been in the cars since I've been a kid. Really? Cars are my big, big love too. I mean, outside of music, I mean, I played saxophone in middle school all the way throughout high school too. My senior year was the only year I didn't do it because I had a half-day schedule. So I got out of school early, but music was like flowing through my blood too. So, you know, I played saxophone, I played piano and a couple other instruments too. And, you know, that was one side that my mom always told me, like, hey, we're not just going to leave that untouched.
Yeah.
Like, you can be good at something else outside of just a sport. So that was another avenue that I had. And then, I mean, I've always loved cars. Grew up going to NASCAR races and stuff like that. And the older I got, the more money I figured I would probably make. So I started learning stuff ahead of time. And, you know, now I'm to the point where, you know, I do good for myself. I can do stuff for myself and, you know, have the cars that I want. If it fits the budget. But, you know, I do stuff like customizations, like LED lighting.
Oh, cool.
Like painting wheels and stuff like that, brake calipers, just small stuff here and there. I started learning along the way in college. Like I had one car garage my senior year of college. Wound up having like my own little company called Fourth Down Customs. Opened that up while I was training for the draft, and that's how I was making money. Like while I was in school.
Wow.
I think I wound up making a pretty successful run at it in one semester.
Yeah.
Got good clientele, but to the point now, I'm so busy, I don't have time to devote to just doing that right now. But at some point in the off season, rather hopefully in the later part of this off season or next year's, I'll probably start working on them a little bit more, get back into it a little bit.
Do you think that that's something you see yourself doing like later down the road when you're done playing?
Yeah, like when I went to Georgia Tech, I got a business degree, so I have a good background of knowing how a business is supposed to be ran. And now to the point where, I have the best networking in the world basically at this point, because everybody in the NFL really wants something nice to be driving around, something that's more personalized most of the time now. And, that's exactly what I want to do. So, there's no better way of doing it than, already having somebody that's in the locker room that does it, number one. Number two, these guys can trust, because it is hard for us to go places because there's so many people that want to work with us, but you can't trust everybody sometimes. So, it's to the point where I feel like whenever I get into a better feeling of my, my career and, being probably into a second contract, I would probably want to open up my own storefront. But up until that point, I'm just doing stuff on the side.
Right. So right now, what's your favorite car all time?
All time. I mean, it's a 69 Charger for sure.
You got one yet?
No, I don't have one yet. I wish, but those have a heavy price ticket on them because they're fully restored, and the one that I want, which is basically the one from Fast and Furious, the black one. I mean, it's a notorious car, but I mean, those things, number one, they're hard to find, and they're going to be really expensive. But I mean, that's the dream car. But my modern day dream car was a Hellcat. So I have a Challenger, and now I have a Durango Hellcat too. Okay. So I've been Mopar since I've been a kid. All I've owned was Dodges. I haven't had anything else yet. So that's my pride and joy. Also, really, really into shoes now. Another extremely expensive hobby. So it's just, I'm to the point, I'm like, man, like I have a whole bunch of shoes and I got good cars and stuff. So I'm, kind of stalemating myself. But one thing I've always noticed, there's always something else you could do to a car. Yeah. There's always something else you can learn. And that was like the biggest thing of why I wanted to get into it. Just always having myself around stuff that I can learn and, get good at over time instead of, always wanting to be good at one thing. I know I'm good at football. I've done it to the point where I feel like I am a consistent punter. I can do it for a consistent level for a really long time. All I got to do is just continue to just keep putting the work in. But everything else in my life, I want to, be able to say something like that too. I feel like, especially all three of us up here as athletes, we always wanted to be in something that we could be good at. Right. Like you never want to be in something that you would potentially struggle in. Right. But, that's the one thing that I figured would, if I can continue to just put myself around stuff that's going to push me and, make me better over time, I might as well be a better person out of it too. So, right. I try to do stuff and try to just look at life a little bit different than just doing something. Right. It's always the constant, you live and you learn. It's never you lose. And that's just how I look at stuff in life too. Like whatever happens personal wise, on the football field, or rather just every day when I'm outside of the facilities and I'm just everyday life in it. It's to the point now. I'm like, hey, I live and I learn. Right. I don't lose anything in life. I just learned some type of lesson out of it. So
you got a lot of wisdom behind you, bro. And from what I know, wisdom comes from challenges. Mm-hmm. So you could tell that you've been challenged in some type of capacity, whether it was in college, high school, or even little league. Right. That you had to build some sense of wisdom behind you. Mm-hmm. So where do you think a high majority of your wisdom came from? And then my second question is, when you get to that point, right, where you have a bad punt, what do you take yourself through to get yourself out of that headspace of that last bad one?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been challenged throughout life a good bit. I mean, just about every level. My family also comes from a lot of sickness. So my rookie year, my dad passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
At the end of the year. But to go back a couple of years prior to that, I mean, he had kidney failure since he was 16 years old. So since I was born, he had kidney failure. He had to do dialysis 3 times a week. And I grew up seeing that. But I never actually really saw my dad struggle, even though he was sitting on a machine for 5-6 hours 3 times a day, just, trying to continue to get his health back up. But I never can really say a time that I saw him struggle. And that was like the one biggest thing that I saw right away from as a younger kid. He was one of my first coaches on the football field. But most of that time he really couldn't be there because he was sick. So, being able to battle that a little bit growing up. And then when I got into high school, my mom wound up having a bleeding on her brain while she was at work. It basically completely took her back to square one. She couldn't talk.
Damn.
She couldn't walk. No, basically no body functions, no nothing. And this was at the time I think I was going into my junior year. It was during the off season going into my junior year. So, it's just me. I'm 16 years old. I didn't have a job because I was an athlete and I did track and field too in the off season. So I basically, couldn't work. But my dad, who's also sick, my mom, who's now also sick in the hospital, and she was there for a good bit of time.
Right.
Having to, go back to rehabilitation and, learning how to talk over again, walk, everything.
Right.
All motor functions and stuff she had to learn all over again. So that was another challenge that I had to go through because at the same time I'm competing for, my rankings for punting and stuff going up in high school. I had my fair share of stuff like that in college too. Sickness every other year and stuff. But, my family we always just found a way. That's our motto is, we're going to find a way through it. And an opportunity is only an opportunity unless you make the most of it. You have opportunities in front of us every single day, and sometimes we don't even see it as that. We just see it as, something that, might inconvenience me for the time being because I just don't feel like doing it.
Right.
But you never know where that takes you. It's just like having this conversation right now. I had the opportunity to do this and wish I could have did it last week, but I'm glad I waited.
Right.
Because, I was kind of under the weather last week, but now we're having real conversations that, a lot of people don't get to have.
100%.
And people sometimes don't really understand, our personal life does kind of affect us in a professional sense. We don't want it to, but we're human, and we all have to have stuff that we're dealing with every single day, whether it's on a Sunday or it's a Monday or Tuesday or whatever day of the week. Life don't stop.
Right.
And, sometimes we get into a place where we're just always go, go, go. And every week feels monotonous because there's always going to be a game on one day of the week. And we're always going to have the same practice schedule. And, we get into a rhythm so fast when the season comes, we forget about life. But when the off season comes, we really get the time to get away from the game a little bit and doing stuff that makes us happy, number one. And just, keep us all mentally balanced because when the season starts, it's a grind until January.
Right.
So it just doesn't stop. So, you got to have a time to get away from it a little bit. And what you said about having a bad punt, getting away from it on the field for me is just always worrying about staying in the moment, number one.
Right.
And it's always about the next rep. Mike T always tells us, control what you can control.
Right.
I can sit here and look at the iPad on the sidelines and try to look at pictures of what I did wrong and get in my head and all of that. But in the meantime, there's going to be a next rep I'm going to have to get called for.
Right.
So the faster I can stop worrying about that rep and just stay in the game, stay focused on the game and just doing enough to win instead of trying to worry about being perfect, the next thing you know, each rep will just get better and better, more and more over that. My rookie year, I had a harder time doing that because I'm younger and I didn't really understand that yet. And, coming from an amateur type classification and coming straight to professional, people tend to sometimes think we're just going to be perfect off a rip. But that's the youngest I am in my career.
Right.
Up to that point in this league. So, it's a little bit of a learning curve. I didn't realize that as much as my rookie year as I did last year. And I made strides because of that last year because I just started thinking about stuff differently instead of just worrying about hitting a certain hang time, worrying about hitting a certain distance. I'm just doing enough just to be able to have myself in a headspace where all I'm caring about is winning.
Right.
All I'm caring about is making this rep as best as I can to do it for the other 10 guys that's in front of me, the other guys on the sideline. it's the NFL is supposed to be selfless, but because monetary value is put over our heads, sometimes people tend to think it's personal. When we're out there working as a team. Like I need the long snapper just like he needs me.
Right.
I need my gunners to do the right release. They need me to also put the ball right where it needs to
100%.
go. So just always having that mental space of like, I just got to do better next time to put us in a better situation. That's all I really think about the whole time. Like if I have a bad rep, every rep's not going to be good. Every day in life's not going to be good. So you got to analyze it, process it, figure out what you did wrong, drop it, move on to the next one. That next series is going to come at some point. You just got to be ready for it.
100%.
That's great perspective, man. And I think, it is a testament to what you've been through because, I know like losing, I lost my dad. I know, you've lost your mom recently. The last, was that 3 years ago? Now?
Same year that you lost your dad, I lost my mom.
Wow.
So, we've all kind of experienced that on different levels and different phases of our life. But it does, when you have that realization that my time here is very temporary and, what I do, I, like you said, control what you can control. Like that goes for on the field, but that also goes up here. That goes for, your relationships, your family and everything. So it's beautiful. We've, I wear the shirt actually, like we joked at the beginning that we should change because we're recording too, but we always say like the athlete never leaves. It's just like a phrase that we've talked about. And it's just that mentality of, you take these life lessons that you learn in sports. It's just, you can compress all of life lessons into one season of a sport.
100%.
And then when you actually are going through it in life too, it actually makes the sport a lot easier to
100%.
process through. But yeah, man, it's great to see you have this kind of, perspective. And as you were talking, I was actually thinking about, I never thought about the difficulty of going from college to the pros as a specialist in the sense that, like, everyone, their craft is focused around the football unless you're an offensive lineman or whatever. But especially with a punter, because think about, like we were talking about golf, right? These guys who go from the amateurs all the way up, they use the same club and the same ball.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what course they're on. You go from college to the pros, that's a whole different ball. Does it have a different weight, a different feel, a different?
Yeah,
it's big, ain't it?
The balls are way different. NFL ball, it actually flies a lot better and a lot easier than the college ball, depending on what your college uses. But the other biggest thing too for me was the numbers. The numbers on a high school and a college field are way further out than these numbers are. So the hashes are made smaller. The field's more condensed. Like the field of play is honestly way different than going out and going back and trying to do it on a high school field. Like it's not the same. So I have different lines that I had to learn for certain punts of walking a certain way, different type of drops, different type of ways of holding it, and then people also sometimes fail to realize too is I'm playing in different venues. Just about every single one of our stadiums in our division is all on by a type of body of water. So I played football in Georgia, so I was never around water. So with that, it makes it different because you're in different climate. Like I'm doing it in Georgia, it's 50, 60 degrees when it's December.
Yeah.
Here, we ain't getting close to that. So it's,
kicking a rock.
It's so much different. And, if you have the right form, none of that stuff would matter as much as it should. And that's the one thing that I'm learning now is, I can't make an excuse for wind. I can't make an excuse for it's cold. I can't make an excuse for climate or, conditions. It's to the point, if I have good enough form, the form will do the work no matter what the conditions are, no matter what field we're in. It's going to be skewed a little bit, but, I'm getting to the point now where, I'm around other guys that's been in the league for a while, and I'm learning more from them each time I'm around somebody. And I'm also learning on my own, too. So, that's sometimes what I try to tell people is for a specialist, their best year is usually their second or third year. And that's mostly because guys have been in these same stadiums for a couple times. You got a good bit of games under your belt. You know exactly what to do. And now, every swing's going to be different. Just like in golf, you go to one course, you're going to swing different because the lies are going to be different. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with me going to a different place. Like we're going to Seattle this year. I've never been to the West Coast one time. So,
Wow.
I'm trying to use the opportunity in the off season to get out there to at least know a little bit more about that conditions and those climates before I get there.
Yeah.
So game day's not the first time I'm around that.
Smart.
So
That's smart.
It's just stuff like that some specialists do to get ahead of the curve a little bit. So we're going to teams that's far. I've never been on that side of the country.
Yeah.
I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do that a day or a couple of weeks or months earlier than just that specific game day.
Right.
Because that specific game day is game time.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Because now that you said that, right, and you've been to Seattle as of recently, though, right?
Not yet.
I'll tell you this, man.
Where have you been on the West Coast? My bad. I didn't mean to
No, you good,
jump
brother.
in.
Literally only gone to LA when we played the Chargers 2 years ago. That was
Oh,
it.
wow.
That's the only
So you
time.
really never been to the West Coast. I'll say this about Seattle. It's definitely really, really gray.
Oh, yeah. It's just like here, I heard.
Yeah, it's great.
It's just like here, I heard. It rains a lot.
It rains a lot, but one thing's for sure, two things is for certain, man. That was a very smart idea. Now, another question I have for you is, how's Coach Danny doing? I ain't seen him in a minute. Is he doing good?
Man, Danny's the GOAT, man.
He's still doing the same?
Yeah, he's still the same terminology. He's been the biggest help that I can say of having as a special teams guy, a special teams coach, because he's old school.
Right.
He actually coached at Georgia Tech too, which was ironic. He was on the 1990s team when they won the national championship.
Wow.
And I've been with him since the beginning. He did my pro day workout. We talked on the phone a good couple of times up to that point. Didn't realize I was going to get drafted here, but it worked out. And ever since I've been here, all he's done is make it easier because he puts us in hard situations in practice. Like, no matter what a team throws at us, we're going to be ready for anything for special teams. Like, we don't let that get cut off guard because those plays are how we make our living.
Right.
And, we take pride in that as a unit and as a special teams punt team, whether it's punt return, whoever. We all take pride in that and knowing every single detail leading up to a game because that stuff matters. That stuff wins and loses games too.
Right.
Like, your defense can play shuts out and your offense is not scoring a point, but hey, your special teams come through on one play, the whole game is changed from that. So we take it as we're a one play series. We just got to make the most of every rep we get, and that's how we do every single rep during this off season, during training camp, all of that.
Respect, man.
He's a really, really good damn coach, man. I'll tell you that.
Love
He's been
Coach
around for a
Danny,
long
man.
time. I think this is his 29th year.
I told
in the
him-
league consecutively.
I told you when I first met you, I said, you might be the most smoothest white boy I ever met in my life, bro. Hey, listen, you got to meet him, bro. I wish I could get him on this show, bro.
He's smooth, but he's relatable.
Yes,
And
very.
That's the thing that I didn't think was going to happen, but he's extremely relatable, not because of, he's way older than us, but it's just in a sense of like he's been through it already.
Right.
He's been in these situations multiple times. Like, I don't question anything he says because he's been in way more stadiums
Over
than any
and
other
over
coach
and
I have
over.
ever been around.
Right.
Because he's been, this is his 29th consecutive year in the league
Damn.
as a coach.
Yeah, bro. He's been
crazy.
coaching longer than we've been
Doing
alive.
that,
29,
Like, you
dude.
really know what you're doing at that point. So
Yeah, nothing surprises you, I feel like, anymore.
No, I'm all ears most of the time. Like, whenever it's something that has to deal with holding or like punting and stuff, we take it serious. Like, we're on the same page now, and it's not really much of a learning curve. It's just how many times can I do this consistently now?
Right.
And you start getting into that sense of it. Like, as an amateur going professional, you always train to do it the right way.
Right.
But then when you become a pro, you're trying to not do it wrong.
Right.
So it's like it completely like flips the spectrum of how you think about stuff. And special teams is that same way. So like, I don't go out there and especially in the off season, I'm not focusing on my best punt. I'm focusing on my mishits. I'm focusing on the ones that aren't where they are. If you can continue to just shrink the margin of your mishit to be closer to your better hits, the next thing you know, your bad ball will be 38, 42 yards out of bounds.
Right.
But guess what? That's all net, and that you can live to fight another down from that.
100%.
You didn't lose as much as you thought you did. Like, the numbers game of what people see on a piece of paper doesn't really correlate to an actual game. Like,
Right.
I can't average but so much because I'm playing in Pittsburgh.
Right.
It's a way different place than playing in the indoor team. Like, if I was playing for the Rams, yes, you should be number one in the league.
100%.
Like, you have perfect conditions always.
All the time.
Like, 8-9 games out of the year, you got perfect conditions. So, like, it's for us, it's always 40-plus yard net coming out of the game.
Right.
That's including every single return. That's not even just including my average. Like, I don't care mostly about, what did I average? Like, if I go out and I average 47, but our net was 38, we suck. Right. I'm going to just be honest. Like, that's a lot of yardage that they ate up off of returns.
Right.
And that's field position. That's how we look at the game. Like, punts inside the 20 is big.
War, baby.
Like, flipping that field is our job.
Yes, sir.
Do you have, like, any bets with, or, like, I'll treat you to dinner if you down it within the 1 yard line? Or, like, do you have anything like that with your teammates?
Some of us do that, but, we feed off of each other sometimes. Like, if we know one person's not going to make the tackle, just feed that person back inside so somebody else can get it. So, like it's sometimes you're not going to be able to make every play.
Right.
We make it to where you never feel like you're out there and it's just you. We all work together, especially on punt, man. Like, if you want to see if a team's good, look at their punt team. Seriously. Like, if you want to see if team special team's good, look at their punt team and the chemistry. Like, that'll tell you all you need to know about a team on special teams, because that's the most important one.
What would you if you had to pick one? Okay, you're at the 50-yard line, drop a dot right on the 1 yard line, or you're backed up, heels against the goal line, and you totally flip the field. Which one?
I'm picking the backed up, honestly.
Yeah,
I know the punts inside the 20 matter, and like, I mean, you put a team on the 10-yard line instead of the 20. That's a first down. The defense didn't have to go defend.
Right.
Like that's how we look at those type of punts. But for the backed up one, being in that situation, I mean, that's the hardest situation a punter can be in. So being able to deliver in a sense of where I don't have 15 yards to work with, and I'm backed up in my own end zone, I mean, that's the best feeling I can get from being a punter, honestly.
Totally flip it.
Man, bro, like.
Because that's putting the team on our back. The offense didn't do what they had to do to make it work, but special teams has to have their back.
100%.
And now defense doesn't have to go out and have to defend a short field.
Right.
I'm starting a drive at like the 50-yard line for NFL. That's basically 3 points.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy, bro, because I'm sitting here listening to you right now, bro, and I can see how passionate you are about your craft, bro.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, skills players we take for granted sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, like, we do it so much, you do it so often. You've been running for so long, you've been throwing for so long, right? Like,
and the talent's seen in a highlight reel.
Exactly.
Like, punters specialists, we don't get highlight reels like that. Like,
we're going to make one for you. We're going to get you right,
I'd
bro.
appreciate that.
We're going to get you right,
got
bro.
you, bro.
I mean, we got the job of, it's just like, when you're doing it good and you're doing it really well, it goes unnoticed.
Right.
But the minute you make one mistake,
Oh, you own everything.
yeah, and it's just do your job sentence. That,
You got one job.
you got one job, and it's just like
Oversimplification of things is the death of a lot of people.
like you break down how many reps we get during a game
Yeah.
and what a other offense or defensive player gets during a game. They have a lot more plays that they can
Bounce back.
They can bounce back on. We don't have that. We're one play unit. Like
Yeah.
we take pride in that, but at the same time, it's not going to go our way all the time.
100%.
But the faster you can get out of that headspace of being negative and not focusing on just the next rep and staying in the game, the better you are. The more negative you stay around that stuff, it just kind of eats you away a little bit.
100%.
And as a specialist, you're only mental most of the time. 20% of it's physical, in my opinion.
And that's crazy, man, because I'm listening to you, bro, and I'm just sitting here picturing it. You made me love the game again for a second, bro. I'm over here thinking about ball
When
again.
when you look at football that way, you won't look at it the same anymore.
You won't.
Like every single punt, you're like, all right, it went here, but if it's on the 35-yard line, they only got but so far to go now.
Right.
And depending on where I was on the field, I might not have even flipped it. You know what I'm saying? So you look at stuff so much differently. And I look at every NFL game, every college game, every high school game way different than I did before.
Do you watch a lot? You watch a lot of ball, like when you're like
Every now and then I will. Like if a game's on TV or something like that, I'll put it on. But like,
who did you study the most?
Great question.
hunting wise,
Yeah.
so the guy that I was around, because not only just studying him, but also because NFL guys usually tend to come back to do like high school stuff and college stuff. Thomas Morstead was honestly one of the punters that I looked up to because he was always at these camps that I was at. And I got tips and stuff through Thomas throughout my career. And, he's always you get the ball in his hands. He stays in a straight line. His knees are tight, elbows tight. He has a more 12 o'clock hand placement on the ball of like where the ball's turned at and stuff like that. Like, he's more similar to my form. So being able to see someone that has been doing on a level for an extremely long time too, because he's been in the league now for 14 plus years.
He's still in the league?
Yeah.
He was with the Saints, but who's he with now?
He's with the Jets right now.
The Jets?
He was with the Dolphins for the last year.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, he's been one of the biggest helps along the way for me, especially in college, because that's when I really started to be around him more, because my coach also knew of him too. So, you know, it just made it easier of having someone that has this similar form to you to learn from, and especially from someone that's been doing it for that long.
Yeah.
That's like the guy that I really like was able to not only just look at his stats and stuff like that, but also get to say, like, I had a relationship with him to where he was wanting to help me be better. So, like, a lot of guys, especially like skill guys, most of the times they have idols and stuff they look up to, but then when they get in the room, like, that's it. Like,
right.
They're basically that guy. Like, I've been in a place now, being in the league, like, I don't feel like it's just me. You know, we as like a specialist group around the league, we all like hang out and like try to help each other a little bit, because I mean, if you don't help each other, you're gonna fall apart.
Right.
You know. So I mean, and who am I to, you know, not use my knowledge that I know in the game of not trying to help somebody else that's younger than me.
Right.
And that's how I like take pride in it, because I'll always give back to younger kids, because I was also that kid at that one certain time. And if Thomas wasn't the guy that he is, and if he didn't help me out, there might not be another guy like him.
That's a
and
crazy
all it takes
story.
is that opportunity of just going out and doing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you know, we get in a sense of like, you know, we're always tired and stuff, especially like during the season. Like, I still try to go out and do stuff in the community, because I don't want myself to just be learned and known as just the punter of Pittsburgh for the Steelers. I want to be known as somebody in the community that always wanted to give back, truly care about kids, because kids are the future. And, you know, just being somebody that was more selfless and not worried just about the game of football. Like, I don't want the only time people see me is the 60 minutes on a game on a Sunday. Like, we do so much more than that. And we take pride in that in our locker room, of just doing more than just what you should do. You know, if you have to question it, you might as well go ahead and do it.
Respectfully.
Like,
yeah, man.
Like, yeah, let me just go ahead and just get up and go give back. You know, that's what I look at for kicking too. Like, I don't want to just be the guy that, you know, somebody else comes in and I'm just shut mouth, not helping. That's not getting me better or them.
Right.
You know, because you're only as good as the competition that you have too.
Right.
And that's the one thing that I've learned throughout the years too, is, you know, if you don't have someone there that's going to push you, you know, you're not going to get better.
Get comfortable.
You get comfortable. And like, for specialists, we don't get that much competition a lot of the times. There's only a select number of guys, and when a season starts, basically you have your unit for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I do like being around other guys in the league and being in settings where it's competitive, because, I mean, we're going back and forth in the game, but I'm not competing against the other punter in that sense. I'm going against the returner the whole time. So, you know, we look at that stuff, and, you know, if everybody in the league's out there and we're all, you know, kicking and everybody's getting better, the whole league just got better.
Yeah.
Every single team just got better. And that's, you know, that's what we try to look at it as too, instead of just, you know, kind of being more of a selfish guy and just not really helping.
Well, you know, and when you came in too, like, you were in a pretty competitive punting room.
Yeah,
Was that
you
know? So for you to win that job, right? Not only are you coming in as a rookie, but now you've won a job over a guy who's done a very good job up to that point. So you're coming in and you're almost starting with like Steeler Nation or the fan base being like, he better be worth it, because we love this dude, you know? Yeah. So you're working to like prove that point that like the coaches saw your value, the team saw that value. And so now, you know, you have to, not that you ever have to go out and prove it to the fans, but like, you know, it is a different thing than usually the kicker comes in because the other guy sucked.
Right.
Yeah.
Not really, but like the fan base, like, oh, that guy sucked. Like, you know, we got this new guy in here. We want him to do good. So you were kind of like a different scenario there coming in
for sure.
from somebody who did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I already knew there was there was going to be an uphill battle from when my name got called in the draft. And, you know,
That
Barry's
alone.
a 7-year vet. And, you know, I came into it thinking that he was going to be one of those guys that didn't care about helping, especially because I was a rookie. You know, I'm basically in there fighting to take his job.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's an opportunity in the NFL and stuff, but that's a job that I'm taking.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've ever had to do that. So it was, you know, I didn't really understand at first of how that stuff went and how he would take that and stuff. But every single day, Barry helped me be the better punter. Helped me be a better punter. He helped me with holding because I struggled with that at first a little bit. And that's life or death for a punter right there. If it don't matter how much you average, if you're not a good holder, most of the times teams aren't going to they're not going to take you. If you don't have good hands because you can't get the laces around and stuff, like those are points.
Yeah.
Like I know punting is extremely important in the game, but you start getting in the way of points on the board.
Yeah.
It gets
like,
real.
You're probably going to be the first to go.
True.
So, you know, knowing that as a punter, and especially as someone that didn't do it as much in college, like I came from a school that I only did it when someone else got hurt. And I felt like I was cut short a little bit because I could have been better a lot earlier if I would have got more opportunities on the field for it. But with the training and stuff, like coming into the draft, that's what I worked on more because that's what I didn't do as much.
Gotcha.
So when I got here in that first training camp when we were in Hines, like
Oh, yeah, 'cause that was during the COVID
Yeah,
year,
that was
right?
right after COVID. That's when stuff started opening up, and we didn't go back to Latrobe that year.
Right.
So I mean, we're literally in there, and he's helping me like learning how to move the ball on the way down before I put it down and spin it on the hole. Like it's small stuff like that. People don't even see it on TV
Right.
because it's like that, and you just see a ball appear. But I mean, it's so much like stuff we really like get into that's extremely specific with this stuff.
Yeah.
But like he was one of those guys that was more selfless, didn't care about the fact that I am here trying to take his job. He said if I make him better, I'm going to get better right along with it.
Yeah.
So
man.
you know,
That goes a long way for you, you know,
good
as a
mentor.
rookie, and because I mean,
I respected that.
Yeah, you'll be
I really respected that.
in a competition, you know, in the future. It doesn't matter. If you're in the NFL, you're competing. You know, like
I mean, Braden Mann's in the facilities right now. He's signed on to the team. I'm in competition right now, but I told him we might as well both get better right now together because if you don't, it's just gonna every single day you're gonna feel like you hate each other.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
we're athletes. Like everybody in the athletic world is competitive, but I mean, me and Braden been competing against each other since high school at these camps I used to go to. I never knew him personally. Every single time I saw Braden was rather for a game or for a competition.
yeah,
And I told him when he got signed, I'm like, bro, I actually want to be a friend of yours. Like I've been around you for this amount of years, and I really don't know much about you.
Right.
Like I might as well take the time to get personal, get to know somebody, you know, hear their story, they hear mine, we make each other better, because that's honestly all that matters.
Yeah.
This is
So much
the opportunity. Yes, it's my job. Yes, he is into the building, and yes, it is a competitive aspect, and he could take it. But I mean, hey, that's life.
sports,
That's
dude.
everything.
Life. It doesn't matter if you're playing a sport or
He's
I
dropping
knew somebody was
gems
gonna be
right
we're
now.
competing
for
with
me.
Big Ben's podcast right now, baby. Let's go,
Hey.
Ben. We're coming for you. You see us? We got the Turner's tea over here. We'll do some taste tests on here too.
Oh my gosh. But man, that's life though. I mean, everything you're gonna be going against somebody else, whether you know them or not.
100%.
If I got the opportunity to know you and to get to understand your life and where you come from, like I got something out of that.
Yep.
I didn't just waste time and just worrying just about the football aspect
Right.
of it, you know.
So I got another question that's just off topic here a little bit. So I don't know if you followed, but last 2 weeks ago there was the Luke Combs concert that Kenny was at.
Yeah.
And like there's like all this big deal, Kenny on stage, all this stuff. But there was a opening act. Okay, her name's Lainey. What is it, Lainey Wilson?
Bro, I don't
Is
know
that her
her
name?
Exactly what you're talking about. You're talking
Bro,
about that
yeah. So
6
she
jersey.
came out with the Duck Hodges
The Duck
jersey. The
Hodges
whole band
jersey,
had
yeah.
number 6.
Hey,
and when I
boy.
first saw that, I was like, okay, she's repping my boy.
People kept tagging me. I'm like, I know that's not my
He
jersey.
said that ain't for me.
I know,
Yeah.
I know that's definitely Duck's jersey. And when it turned around and it had the H, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hold up. And I saw Hodge. I was like, nah.
He was about to be like, hold on now. Let me.
No, I was actually at that concert.
Oh,
too.
you were?
I was there,
Having a good time?
having a great time. I had just got back off the plane from Paris. Me and my girlfriend went to Frankfurt, Germany. She used to go to high school there.
Oh, wow.
And then we went to Paris afterwards, and we had just got off of our flight. I think at like 7:30 we landed. I think the concert actually had already started, but he didn't come out yet. Luke didn't come out yet. We literally got home, made it to the stadium, and as soon as we sat down, he came out.
That's crazy.
Like he was 3 hours late, thankfully, because we had a delay in our flight. Engine literally was about to blow before we took off.
Oh nah, bro!
I'm a layover flight.
I might not have made it back to Pittsburgh. I'm like, get me off this thing, all right?
Drove back. I was like, nah, Luke Combs, he can wait. I'll meet him another day.
Damn artist, man, always late.
It work. That night was actually really fun. That we were up there with Kenny in the section and stuff too. It was a good time.
Yo, so you was with the King of Pittsburgh.
If you want to call him that, yeah. Basically, yeah.
Hey, listen, it's funny though because when we played y'all. To this day, bro, I used to always mess with him. Like, bro, you the only person I've ever seen in this entire city to have their name on one of these buildings. I'm like, I don't even know how you get that, bro. Like, make it make sense.
Seriously.
Like, make it make sense.
You got his name on a building?
Bro, listen, when he was about to win the Heisman, bro, it said Kenny for Heisman. I'll never forget it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't happen.
No, that's big.
That's different, bro. But ultimately, man, beyond that, bro, like, I got to ask a simple question because it's always a question everybody needs to ask about a Steeler, right? What is a Mike Tomlin innuendo that you've taken with you that you're like, man, like I remember this idea. I remember this motivation.
Man, the whole perspective I have of doing enough to win is him. That came from him. Like my rookie year, I was always thinking about my form. I was always thinking about what I need to do.
Right.
And I didn't even really realize it, but I was never really into the game. He had this, I can't remember what game it was last year, but he literally was just telling us to just live in the moment and to just do enough to win. Don't try to be perfect. Don't go out there trying to be 100 for 100. Don't go out there and try to average 60 yards. I'm not going to have 60 yards on every punt.
Right.
I can't go out there with that type of perspective. I can't go out there with that type of mindset. You just have to do enough to win, is what he says. And, like, that was the biggest thing that really stuck with me. And that honestly has helped me because now I'm walking up and down the sidelines extremely in the game. I'm not on the field, but I'm in the game and staying in that moment. So, you know, it does energize me up, too, sometimes. It does juice me up to see that, you know, I got to go out there and I got to make a play. I got to make a difference in this game.
You feel like you in it.
Yeah. So I literally, like, 2 Celsius is in on the sideline going crazy. Like, we're lit. Like, we're having a good time. Like, but at the same time, we're really just thinking about that moment because that's all that matters is that specific moment. So, you know, that was like the one thing that has honestly helped me out in my career of how I go about games now. And it helps out tremendously because I don't go out there expecting to be perfect, but I also don't go out there afraid to fail. I've failed multiple times already, but I don't look at them as failures. I look at them as lessons in general, especially in the game of football. Like, I know every punt I need what I need to do, but why it didn't happen, you know, I've found that root problem. You know, I'm starting to work on that now, and you know, it was just eye-opening just because, you know, he's just saying live in the moment and just do enough to win.
Right.
Like, we're professional, but we're not perfect. Sometimes we have that connotation on ourselves being perfect, and then when it doesn't happen, we sometimes tend to just, like, shut down.
Right.
Or just, you know, we feel off, and the next thing you know, the rest of the game got controlled by one rep. I can't live like that.
Man, oh, man.
That's the biggest stuff Mike T has definitely put in my brain of like just doing enough to win.
I wish somebody would have told me that in high school or somebody would have told me that in middle school, to be honest with you, because like I feel like we as athletes, we always try to do it perfect, right?
Yeah.
And if we can't get perfection, we will shoot for excellence.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's a great way to think about life, but in the same sense, sometimes that leads kids to be in a position where, well, if I messed up this one time, the whole game's over. And it has nothing to do with the whole game. You messed up for 30 seconds.
It just alters a little bit of time that you can't even control anymore.
You know what I mean?
Control what happens next. And that's how I started looking at it as like, I know I messed up on that punt. I can't control that now. The only one that matters is my name's gonna get called again.
Oof.
What the next rep look like.
Can you
That's
say
what
that?
he said.
Say that for that camera right there, so the kids can hear you in the back.
Seriously, like every rep's not gonna be perfect, but what does that next rep look like? Like, because that's the one that matters now. You can't control anything that has already happened to you. Like my whole past and my whole family history and all of this stuff with sickness, I can't control any of that. But I can control what I eat, what I do for my family, you know, how I go about my day. And what I do on the field. You know, that's why I feel like I'm going to be here for 10, 15, 20 years. Like,
you don't even question it. That's what I love now.
I don't question myself because I've put in all of the hard work before I got here.
Preparation.
Like the work has already been done. Now all I have to do is just be consistent.
Yes,
all I
sir.
have to do is do exactly what I'm here to do. And I mean, what other better way to do it than under a coach like Mike T?
100%.
And do it for this organization. Like, that's what I tell myself every single day. So, like, you know, I want to be the best and the number one punter in rankings. I want to be going to the Pro Bowl. Hell, I want to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
I don't even care about the Pro Bowl part. That's an individual thing. I want to win a Super Bowl. You know, but it starts with being here at this part of the season in an optional setting of just trying to make a foundation with the team, and that's where we're at now. And you know, that's the foundation of a team. So I mean, you got more time on our hands now. You might as well have team chemistry. Actually break bread, because that's one thing Mike T is also big on too. Like he says, don't be afraid to be friends. You know, we're in an organization where it's family, faith, and football in that order. Like the family part is real. Like I found that in my first fair share of it my rookie year when I lost 2 relatives in my family.
Right.
And everybody in that organization was there for my family. Tried to make ways for them that we couldn't make ways of. And like, that's just, you know, that was something that they did not have to do. You know, and that was a hard decision for me. Was, you know, do I step away from the team before we played Kansas City that day, or do I go on this trip? And like, I was in the house by myself when I found out the news, because I lived up here by myself at the time, and that was the hardest decision I had to make, because it's like, do I step away from my job and let somebody else come in and do it, or do I not be there for my family? Like, that was a really hard decision to make. And I mean, the team made it easier for me to make that decision, because I was scared for my job at some point, but at the same time, you know, I felt comfortable because they were reaching out and wanting to do so much for my family and trying to help. Like, they got my dad to that Tennessee game that year, fully paid the whole trip for him to get up there. He couldn't fly, so they rented an RV to get my dad up there for that game.
Damn.
To be comfortable. And like,
That's
just doing
incredible.
stuff like that while I'm on the field struggling my rookie year, trying to figure it out. I was like, if number one, if I can get through all of this stuff, I can get through anything in life.
Right.
But number two, if you are behind me while I'm getting through this, I feel like I'm forever in debt to you because of the help that you provided when I couldn't really do too much for my family at that time. Like, me being home was like the best thing that I could have had throughout that time, because when I got back to the team, I wasn't going through it, and it's still going in my head like I'm in a negative sense.
Right.
When I came back up here after that, everybody just, you know, came in with open arms, and I actually felt a team that, you know, I feel like I got a lot closer to guys because of that by itself. So I was like, you know, I can get through this. I can get through anything in life. There's not one punt. There ain't not one returner. There's nothing in my life at this point that I feel like I'm actually going to have to stress about. Like, I've been through the most stressful times of my life at a younger age. I'm to the point now where I don't try to stress, because all that does is, number one, it does a negative thing on your health. It's definitely, you're not going to last as long on this earth if you continue to just stress it. It'll eat you away. So, I mean, everything I look at now, I'm like, if it's not life-threatening, I'm not stressing about it. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like I just don't care.
Feel that.
But I'm saying it in the sense of like, I'm only here for so long.
Yep.
Like, the situation I'm already going to have to deal with, I might as well not weigh myself down too in my health at the same time. And especially your mental health. Like, for athletes now, that's something that has been brought up in the last 10, 15 years that was never brought up ever before.
I know,
Was
trust
mental
me.
health. It was
Trust
a whole,
me.
next rep, get back in there, do what you got to do. And it was like, it's like that for a lot of athletes still. But, you know, from that patch of it, I was like, all right, I actually need to figure out a little bit more education on mental health, and how do I stay on the positive side of it? And I mean, my rookie year was basically my testament to mental health. And like, when I came out on social media and told everybody that was going on about the situation with my dad and my grandma, you know, everybody was just like, dang, like, you know, we never really actually take time to understand these guys are going through stuff, and we're human too. And, you know, that was kind of eye-opening, not to just me, but to everyone else, that was around me, whether it was a fan, whether it was a supporter, one of my best friends or whoever, they're like, life really doesn't stop even though you're going through this. Like, I had a game the next day, but I went home that day, and I was home and I came back. I missed 2 games. And Corliss Waitman was actually the punter that came here. And like I said before, an opportunity is only an opportunity unless you make the most of it. He got signed. And ever since then, ever since that moment when I was away for those 2 weeks, he's been on the team on an active roster. So that's another black punter that had an opportunity through somebody else going through something. And like Mike T has this saying too, it's just like a next man up thing. It's like, we don't care about what means you got here. Make of what you can do while you're here. Put your best foot forward. And, I put my best foot forward by making that decision to go home. And I mean, it paid off because Kansas City playoff game we had. I think that was one of the best games of my rookie year. I think I averaged 48 that game. I was putting the ball exactly where it needed to go. And that was the last game of the season. But I told myself, I'm like, this is the last opportunity I got to show who I am.
Right.
And show that, just because I was going through something doesn't mean it's going to just hinder me.
Right.
I want to use that as ammunition. I want to use that as something that's going to strive and drive me to do better. And I mean, ever since that moment on, that's exactly what it's done. So
Dude, people are either going to fold in those moments, or there's something about being on a team and watching somebody go through something on the field or off the field. Yeah. And you're just waiting for their response to see, are you going to fold? Are you going to step up? And when that teammate of yours that you believe can step up does it, bro,
everybody gets behind you.
Yep,
everybody.
That's it. You got the team, and
and you say that, and Mike T has another saying: pressure is forever relevant. You rather feeling it or applying it, and that's real.
Bro, I'm telling you, Mike T, bro, will throw him at you left and right.
It's real. It's always pressure is always around us, but I definitely rather apply it and feel it.
You feel me?
So it's small stuff like that he just throws at us sometimes, and I really don't think about it most of the time until I get home, and I'm like,
process.
I really got a time to understand what he was actually saying.
Yeah, because he'll just be in the middle of yo, we need 7s over here, and then just drop some shit like that.
Right before punt period, he'll say some stuff like that, and it's like, that's everyday life. That's everything in life. That's not even just a football play.
Yeah,
you feel pressure in life when you got bills due and you don't know how you're gonna have the money done.
Come on.
Preach, dude.
You feel it a whole bunch of different ways. Yeah. But when you're applying pressure and you're doing exactly what you love in life and it don't even feel like a job and you're actually enjoying every single thing that's around you and life is good, that's a good feeling to be in. That's what life's about. But the one thing I had to learn, every day is not gonna be a perfect day. And the faster I got into the mindset of just knowing that, and that when I am in bad days, better days are coming, all I got to do is just continue to work. I'm not stressing over it anymore. I know everything's not going to go my way, but I also know how to get out of these things now. That, as a rookie, I didn't have all of the knowledge I do now. This stuff does stuff to you. Yeah. NFL average career is only 3 years, 2 to 3 seasons. I'm going into my 3rd year now. This could be my last. I don't want it to be. But you never know. So I'm not just taking a paycheck out of it and just going home. That's not what this is about. You know?
Yeah.
It's so much more for that Steelers logo than people really think it does mean for us. We do so much more than just play Steeler football. We're community ambassadors. We go out. I'm on a social injustice committee in the city for the team. We raised over, I think, $300,000.
Damn.
For the entire fund last year, and that was the first time it's been that high.
Damn.
And it's just stuff like that. I'm like, we make Pittsburgh better, everything gets better, just the organization. Bring everybody along. You
about to bring the whole city, bruh, to a whole new fire, bruh. Just because they see somebody that's an athlete that's not just here playing, right? You immerse yourself to the point where it sounds like you're almost from Pittsburgh, but you're from South Carolina. I feel that way. That's huge.
When I was in Atlanta, I felt comfortable there, and I have some of my best friends from there, and I want to live there one day. But until that point, I'm here.
Right.
And I told myself I might as well make this my home instead of just living here during the season.
Come on.
I don't have another place anywhere, bro. I live here. I'm here year round. It's just hey, I'm gonna be here. I might as well make this home. And I mean, you do that, people see you more and more out in the community and stuff. It does nothing but help you.
Right.
Like, I don't go into a place where all people talk about is what I did during a game.
Right.
You know, I actually have like different places I'll go and I'll just see a random person and they'll just, you know, introduce themselves and stuff. And I'll just have a full conversation with them. Like, wow, you actually sat down and had a conversation. I'm a person too.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, just because of what I do doesn't make me any better than you.
They need to make you the head of like the team activation. I don't know, team
Yeah,
something.
I know.
You gotta go talk to. You gotta go talk to her.
dude.
Yeah,
You can't just be the punter here in Pittsburgh. We gotta. I mean, you're already doing, like you said, a lot of stuff. But I love the trajectory you're on, man, and like the attitude you have. Like you could tell when someone really appreciates what they have, and you could see that. Like
I worked extensively for it, man, and I already knew the road was going to be real narrow for me to get here. So, you know, and that's the other thing as athletes, when you always tend to have a goal in front of you of getting there, and then you get there, and then you're like, all right, now what? Because you never really thought about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like I've worked my entire life to trying to get here.
Yeah.
But now that I'm here, I had to relearn everything basically, and like relearn life, and like look at it differently. Because now I'm older. Like I'm 24. I'm not that old, but like I have to think about stuff differently now because I'm in a career to where it can be cut short from outside things. It can be cut short from stuff on the field of play. Like every single day, I walk around and I'm like, I gotta protect the shield on my front side, just like the target on my back. Like you got to make sure that you know you're not putting yourself in danger because, bro, it's gone just like that. The fastest I got here, I can be gone.
You are a walking Instagram reel, bro.
Man,
Let me tell you, bro.
I was going to say, let's just end it right there because that shit's. I got one more thing for you. I know you got a tea time, so we do a segment. Trey set him up last time. We're going to do the segment with you. It's called a uniform segment. So basically,
My favorite.
I want to know if the Steelers were to do an alternate uniform or like whatever it may be, a throwback, something. What if you could design it? What's it look like?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big fan of the black and the gold, especially the color rush.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if we were to do the full color rush uniform, but then you also got the helmet instead of it being gloss, be matte with the gold line on the middle of it like that. Just keep it traditional, like you know, keep it that way. But that block lettering, and I think the matte, everything else, all blacks spatted out and correct. That'd be fire.
Full blackout.
Full blackout.
Blackout.
Especially at a night game.
Yeah.
Can't get no much better than that.
Yeah.
Black
I've been thinking
Panther
about
look.
like too if they were to do the yellow pants with the color rush top. I think
That
that'd
would
be a
fire.
crazy
yeah,
look.
Yeah.
Or bring yellow helmets back. I don't
Yellow
know.
lids
I don't
back.
know.
Yeah.
Or a gold jersey with the gold pants.
Yeah.
Whoo!
People, I've mocked that up a couple times. People are like, it looks like the practice uniforms, and I'm like, yeah, but
they
shit would be
ain't-
fire. Like,
At Tech, we're a traditional school too, but we switched to Adidas.
Yeah,
going
'cause
into
you were
my
Russell
sophomore.
forever.
Yeah, we were Russell.
Bro, that Russell
So we
was.
wore like all navy blue. We wore all white. We wore
Yeah.
all gold. We had gray.
oh yeah, you guys had some nice
yeah,
unis that
we
year.
had good. We
Yeah.
had good uniforms. So like, you know, we were a traditional school that you know is now going on to a more modern type of look on like uniforms. I feel like if we was to do that here, it'd probably be the same thing.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I used to love playing at their stadium,
Hey,
bro.
Or a whiteout.
Oh
bro.
really?
Their stadium was like, it's like, I don't even know how to explain it because it's not what you think a stadium would
Bobby
be. Like
died. It was a weird stadium, but like it only sits 55,000. It's not that big, but the backdrop behind
Yeah.
it,
Crazy.
downtown Atlanta.
Oh, that's dope.
We're literally
Crazy.
right there behind
That's
it.
dope.
Every time we go and play there, bro, I'm like, we going to Atlanta? They be like, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I know it blew me away.
We hate coming
Yeah.
here, but
Hey.
we love staying.
Yeah.
We
Hey.
love staying home.
Listen, we played them right
Yeah.
when they would come up here, bro. We knew it was like they ain't gonna fuck with the weather, bro. That's what's
Yeah.
gonna get them. If we
Yeah.
gonna get them, it's gonna be because this weather's gonna kill them.
Yeah.
Because when you come and play at Heinz, first things first, and nobody understands this. And yes, I said Heinz, not Aquasher. All right. The one thing, first things first, you gotta understand. Whatever it says the weather is outside,
It don't feel like that.
it's
on
not
field.
that at the field.
It don't feel
It's
like
about
that.
it's about if it says 12 degrees, it's really -5 at Heinz, bro. Listen, they
That
don't believe
Immaculate
me.
Reception game this past season.
Come on.
Oh, dude.
I couldn't feel anything.
What was that? That was the Raiders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Raiders game, New Year's Eve. No, Christmas Eve.
My boy Kenny played though.
Bro,
I was
I
proud of him.
couldn't
P to
feel
GP at the end.
Anything.
I'm sure it
It
is.
was so cold.
Your hands was brick, weren't they?
Hands, feet, everything. Like I was cold
You was next
Every
to the
single
heater.
time I was on the heaters. What you mean? the seats, all of that's heated.
Yeah, I know.
You got feet warmers and all of that. But the minute I got off of that to go start getting in the net and start punting, immediately it was frozen again.
Bro, it'll kill you. Like it'll kill you because like you'll get warm. Like you can get warm on the sidelines. Those heaters, those feet heaters, you can feel it all. It makes you feel great.
But when you step back out there,
it is over with.
I'm gonna need you guys to go to a D2 game in Wheeling, West Virginia, and stand on the sideline with no heaters, and then tell me when it's raining.
All they got is 2 hot hands.
Bro, literally, yeah. When we had those couches, I'd be sitting in there with like lined. I would have the ones with like they would stick. So I would line the inside at halftime, reline that shit because I'm like, nah, dude, I'm freezing my ass off.
Listen, I be telling my kids, man, they be like, Coach, I'm cold. I said, put your hands in your pants. Trust me, bro.
Yeah,
Trust me.
Best way to get warm.
It wasn't until I got to college, bro. My boy taught me this trick, bro. And like ever since then, bro, I've been sticking with it. He said, put the surgical gloves under your gloves, bro, and you be straight. I'm like, bro, that ain't gonna work, bro. I did it, bro. My hands were sweating the whole. And I'm talking about when it's cold in Pittsburgh, bro. It's real life. Like it hurts.
You don't feel it like under the gloves,
bro. Like your hands are sweating. Like you're not tripping.
But you're not gonna drop anything. You got gloves on over it.
Yeah. Why don't we design a product?
All right, we should stop talking about it now. Wait.
Yeah, leave it off the camera.
That's off camera.
But all right, okay. As Kickler just comes in and.
With the whole bike.
Welcome to the studio, Kick. This guy gets a new bike and thinks he owns the fucking place.
Goddamn.
Jesus Christ.
Hey.
Hey, bro. Thank you for coming on, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Love to have you back on maybe after the season, recap some of the year. And
we're going to make you that highlight film too, man.
Yeah. We got some surprises coming your way.
Don't put me in it too much. Everybody else in it.
I got you.
Appreciate you, dog.
For sure.
Yeah, appreciate y'all, man. That was fun.